What's up, everyone? SterlingRider back. As I have said multiple times, we are going to add things to the channel, and so here's one of the first things we're doing. I'm here with my dad. You gonna say hi?
Hey, what's up?
He's still working on a nickname for him. Not quite sure yet. But something we are adding to the channel is we're going to be doing podcasts on NASCAR racing. We're both huge NASCAR fans. As you can see in the background, there's a lot of NASCAR stuff around us. This whole room's filled with it. But we're going to be doing recaps of each race every week. Hopefully, scheduling conflicts may be a problem, but we'll try our best to do what we can. And so this is kind of a recap of going over the schedule and the rosters. And so that's what we're going to start with is the schedule. So yeah.
All right, well, really the first thing we've got up is the Clash.
Boy.
I'm not a big fan of the Coliseum. The racing there has been lackluster.
Yeah.
And I would say it's lackluster because the short track package on this Gen 7 next gen car, whatever you want to call it, just has not been good. NASCAR is working on it. Unfortunately, they're not doing what the teams and the fans are asking for, which is horsepower, which would solve 90% of racing's problems is more speed. I mean, it's racing, people. If you're going to race, you have to have fast cars. Fast cars, fast horsepower. But anyway, so how you feel about the Clash?
I'm 50-50 on it. I think it's cool, but I don't think it's a good preseason opener. Maybe just something fun to do after the season's over, but as like a Kickstarter to the season, I don't see it as a good thing.
Well, I wish with the Clash that they would go back to Daytona.
Yeah.
And they would go back to pole winners only. Because that's what it used to be. And it was the original race was, I believe it was a 75-mile race. I mean, so it was, 25 laps.
Yeah.
And then they just kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And then when they started with the chase, they started, all the people that qualified for the chase was in the Clash, and the field just kept getting bigger and bigger and kind of wore out the purpose of it. I wish they would go back to the original design of the Clash, the original purpose of the Clash. But, it is what it is. We got to live with it until NASCAR changes their minds. So we might as well enjoy it. I mean, It's racing. NASCAR's back on TV. That's the fun thing. I guess we'll need to talk about that a little bit later, too. The upcoming TV package that starts in 2025.
Yeah.
With that. Okay, then we got the duel. The duels at Daytona.
Those are always good to watch.
Always fun to watch. A lot of surprises usually there as to who's running up front. Not so much as in the Daytona 500, because most of the ones that typically run up front at the super speedways run up front at Daytona. Been a lot of attrition lately, a lot of wrecks.
Oh yeah.
In the Daytona 500. So unfortunately, we're going to probably see that again this year.
Most likely.
So might as well. Who's your pick to win the 500 this year?
Oof, that's tough because you never know. Because the way the new cars package, and then all the drafting, and then you got any wreck, and then it's just a super speedway, so it's always kind of a coin toss for everyone. Obviously, I'd like to see Elliott win it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would have to pick, I would say Brad Keselowski. He had a really good run last year, and he was almost there quite a few times in some of the super speedway races. So I'm going to go with Brad.
Well, I'm right there with you. I think Brad is one of the best restrictor plate races out there. Well, it's not restrictor plate anymore, but best drafters out there for sure. Hasn't done so well in the past few years in the 500 because he's caused some wrecks. Might as well call it out on what it is. Love you, Brad, but that's what's happened. Finished second at Daytona last year in the fall, following his teammate Chris Buescher. So, he excellent track record. Love to see him win the 500. So I'm gonna go with you on that pick.
All right.
I think he's got a really good chance at that. Next we got up is Atlanta. They're following a speedway race, a super speedway drafting race with another super speedway drafting race at Atlanta. Gonna have a lot of teams with a lot of wrecked race cars in the first couple weeks of the season.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
We're not gonna make predictions on most of these. The 500, of course, we wanted to make because it's it's the biggest race of the year. But then Vegas, Phoenix, Bristol, Coda. Love Coda.
Coda's awesome.
Richmond, Martinsville, Texas, Talladega, Dover, Kansas, Darlington, North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. Talk about North Wilkesboro for a minute. I'm glad to see it's back on the schedule, but last year's All-Star race was horrific. Kyle Larson pitted early in the first part of the race, drove to the lead and kept the lead, and it just wasn't a good short track race. Hopefully this year is better.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Then we got Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Kyle Larson's doing the double duty. Might as well talk about that. What's your predictions of how he's going to run at Indy?
Oh yeah, he is running the Indy race, isn't he?
Yep.
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I would say Larson's a really good. He's a good driver for sure. I don't like him, but that's just me. But I do respect him, and I think he's definitely got good capabilities of finishing. I would say probably at least top 15 in the Indy race.
Well, I'm going to say top 10. When Kurt Busch ran and did the double, Kurt finished, I want to say it was 6th. So I think Larson can match that or at least be within, a position or two. I think he's going to have a top 10. Charlotte for the 600, of course, barring any kind of weather delays or anything like that with Indy, he should make it.
Yeah.
To the start of the 600. Would be a shame if he didn't, but I'm sure NASCAR would give him a waiver. I mean, it'd be crazy not to give Kyle Larson a waiver for the playoffs because he was racing at the Indianapolis 500. I mean, with the Coke 600, I say top 15 for Larson. I don't know how physically conditioned he is. I'm sure that he's got trainers working with him, but I would say top 15 for Charlotte. And so that's the next big race on our schedule. So who do you pick to win the 600?
The 600, that's to me that's another toss up. Just because everyone runs well in the beginning and then everyone kind of drops away toward the end of the race, and you're like, who's where and who's doing what to see strategies and all sorts of things. But I think this is probably just out of favoriteness, but I think Elliott might be able to pull it off this year. He came close last year, but I think the biggest problem last year was that he had just came back from his injury.
Well, and that was also the race that he wrecked Denny Hamlin on the front stretch and got himself suspended for the next race.
Exactly.
So he kind of damaged his car.
But because before that, he was running super good in the race. Still.
Well, I'm calling it, folks. You see it right here on the sweatshirt. I'm calling it your Coca-Cola 600 winner for 2024, William Byron, number 24. I'm just going to call my shot right now. Anyway, then we got Worldwide Technology and Gateway. One of these years, because that's our closest home track, one of these years I hope to make it out there. Sonoma, Iowa is a new track on the schedule this year. Now the Xfinity race, the Xfinity Series used to race there a couple times a year. If I remember correctly, that's where Ryan Preece got his first Xfinity win. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to Iowa. to see how the Cup cars race on Iowa. That's just I'm really looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah.
New Hampshire, Nashville, Chicago street race.
Oh boy.
Let's spend a couple minutes talking about that because last year's race, in my opinion, it was a good race. They raced in the rain. It set up perfectly for the ending that it had with Van Ginzenberg winning. I think that's how you say his name.
Sorry if we butchered your name.
But with that being said, I also think it was the most embarrassing race in NASCAR history because an outsider came in and beat what is always advertised as the best drivers in the world.
Yeah.
No series should somebody who's never raced this car come in and beat the best drivers in the world in race number one. Now, after he's been in their car a few races, okay, I could see that happening. But race number one, to me, it's embarrassing for NASCAR as a sport. It was a great win. I mean, it's launched his career. Definitely. He's going to be running, I guess you'd call it the ABC program this next year. He's running some ARCA races. He's running some Cup races. He's running the full Xfinity Series schedule with Colleague Racing. Mm-hmm. I think it's Colleague he's racing with. I could be wrong, so don't. But anyway, it has boosted his career, and listening to him on the Dale Jr. Download, he talked about how similar these cars are to the supercars that he drives in Australia. So that kind of helped him out a bit. But you add horsepower, you add tire wear, you add a lot of the stuff that he doesn't have to deal with in supercars. He should not have been able to beat these guys. So what I want to see how this year's race plays out. I think it'll play out differently, especially if the weather cooperates. Weather was not kind to Chicago last year.
No.
But how you think it's going to play out any different?
I don't know. I know we've talked to a few people because we met some actual people that went to the street race. They said it was actually a lot of fun being there, besides weather, of course. Which may be cool, because being at the racetrack is totally different than watching it on TV. But for us TV watchers, I don't think it's a good race. And then especially if you throw in how weather was last year, it wasn't worth watching, in my opinion. But let's hope NASCAR can clean that up. Of course, again, weather's always a toss-up, but let's hope we have a better race this year with weather-wise. That way we can see because maybe it does have potential. Well, we don't know. This is only a second year they'll run it. So,
and that's across the whole schedule. Because if you watched races last year, rain had an impact on a whole lot of, especially Cup races last year, and it was pretty wild, the weather last year. So Pocono following the Chicago street race, and then my personal favorite change on the schedule, Indianapolis. We are going back to the oval. We're getting off the road course and going back to where the Brickyard 400 belongs, on the oval. Now, side note to that, the trucks are racing over at IRP. I think it's Lucas Raceway Park now. Used to be Indianapolis Raceway Park, but I think it's Lucas Oil now. The Truck Series is racing there. The Xfinity Series needs to go back, in my opinion, to the short track down the street from Indianapolis. But for the Cup Series, I'm excited to go back to the Roval. Him and I and our family had an awesome experience this summer. We got to go to Indianapolis. Our first time ever being at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We took the tour, the ride around the track. We went to the museum. We got to kiss the bricks.
That was
awesome. If you can, put that picture up. Eventually,
I don't know
you don't have to do it right now, but
how well it'll show.
get that picture put up of us kissing the brick.
I
So,
can.
had a lot of fun at Indianapolis. Got to see where our favorite drivers had raced. Got to see one of the most historic, if not the most historic, racetracks on the planet Earth. And just kind of to ourselves, because there wasn't a whole bunch of people there that day, and we really got to experience an awesome time at the Oval. I would have liked to have taken a ride around the street course as well.
That would have been interesting. I mean, you could see it. You could kind of lay it out when you're going around the oval part of the track. But, again, you get all the... Because they got to move a lot of barriers and things. And so it's kind of like... You couldn't really tell, but you could kind of see how it went. But it was a really cool, really fun experience. We got to sit in like a replica of an Indy car. Me and him did the simulator of qualifying in IndyCar, and I got the second fastest lap, which was actually pretty freaking cool on the simulator, because I got my name on the board. That was super cool. The museum was awesome. It was cool to see a lot of the, of course, just about all of it was IndyCar.
Yep.
The only NASCAR stuff that was kind of shown was basically with all the wall with all the winners. It had all the Brickyard 400 winners. But again, it was a really cool experience, and hopefully we'll be there one year to see the race in person. So yeah.
So, but I'm looking forward to it being back on the oval. I'm going to shock you. I'm actually looking. I'm calling for Denny Hamlin to win on the oval. He's almost won it multiple times. Had it won, I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2001. Had it won, Harvick wasn't shaking. He blew a tire, went into the wall in turn one, and Harvick ended up, I think it was 2021, because that was when Harvick won his second one in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And just Denny Hamlin is superb on the oval. Not so great on the road course. Sorry, Denny. But he's superb. So I'm gonna call Denny winning the Brickyard 400 for his third crown jewel, because I don't believe he has not won the Coca-Cola 600 yet. He's won the Daytona 500 3 times. So I'm gonna call Indianapolis Brickyard 400 2024 for Denny Hamlin. What about you?
Ooh.
I know, shocker, right?
That was a shocker. But I kind of agree with that, just because, especially with the way he's ran at that track, he could definitely do it. And then he's had a few whoopsies, kind of, as you could call them.
Yep.
But that's tough, because who I would say is now retired, as Kevin Hart has finished out his NASCAR career. But I'm actually going to go kind of a toss-up, because I know Kevin's still involved with the sport, so I'm going to say Josh Berry, who is taking over for the number 4.
Oh, wow.
Because I know him and Richard Childers.
Rodney Childers.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I'm bad with names, too. They have been working a lot off-season wise, getting used to each other. And I know Rodney with Harvick they were just the dynamic duo, you could say, of NASCAR.
They were almost unbeatable at Indianapolis.
Yeah, so I think Josh Berry, quite a step up for him, but I think he might be able to pull it off, especially with Rodney and the rest of the 4 team behind him, because that is a very strong team.
Well, that would be awesome to witness. We'll talk about more of that later when we get into talking about the rosters and the Cup drivers, but that would be awesome to see. All right, continue with the schedule. We got Richmond, Michigan. Then we start hitting some major schedule changes. We got Daytona, which used to be the last race before the playoffs started.
Yep.
But because of the 2 off weeks this year because for the Olympics, Darlington on Memorial Day weekend is the final race, the Southern 500. Uh, one of my favorite races of the year, especially when they were doing the throwback thing.
Yeah, I wish they go back to
Um,
more people doing the throwbacks.
well, they're doing it at Darlington in the spring now because sponsors want their normal paint schemes going into the playoffs. With it moving before the playoffs, they might change that this year. I don't know, but Darlington isn't really the crapshoot that Daytona was, but Daytona right before Darlington, so we may still see somebody kind of slide into the playoffs.
Yep.
That wasn't already in the playoffs with the win at Daytona. But then it gets really interesting when we get to the playoffs. The round of 16 this year is Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol. So you got a speedway drafting track, you've got a road course, and you've got a short track. And one thing I forgot to mention is, praise the Lord, no more Bristol dirt.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay? It's a decent race, but let's face it, dirt racing belongs on a real dirt track.
Yeah.
If you want a race cup on dirt, go to Eldora, go to Knoxville, go to an established dirt track and run it there. Bristol was too big.
Yep.
As a half mile dirt track, too banked. The racing that we saw there was lackluster, except in the trucks. The truck racing was pretty good. But anyway, we got, so, man, that's kind of a crapshoot, but it's not a crapshoot for some drivers. Because Atlanta's kind of a crapshoot, but we have drivers like Chase Elliott, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, let's see, Tyler Reddick. Really, anybody that's a good road course racer, Watkins Glen is they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen usually doesn't have a whole lot of ridiculous havoc except turn one. It's interesting that they put it in the playoffs, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because that puts two road courses with the Roval in the playoffs. But I'm not worried about Watkins Glen because Watkins Glen, I don't believe, will be a big major factor in determining who goes on to the next round, just because of the style of track that it is. So I really don't see anything big coming out of those three races, unless there's some kind of craziness that happens at Atlanta that takes somebody that's barely makes the playoffs and puts them way behind where they're in must-win situations. That's the only thing I can see of in that round that's really going to blow a hole in anything.
Right.
Then we got Kansas, Talladega, and the Roval. You want to talk about crapshoots. Talladega and the Roval.
And this is just round of 12.
Yeah, in the same round.
Yeah.
Which they have been before.
Yeah.
This round is always the round where somebody that should advance to the round of 8 does not.
Yeah.
Because they have problems at Talladega. They get wrecked out early. They don't get any stage points. And they go to Charlotte with a must-win. And it's usually the people that are terrible at road courses, especially tight road courses like the Roval. And they go in with a must-win situation. They try too hard. They get themselves in trouble.
Yep. See it almost ever since they did the schedule this way. It's almost every year. It's been like that.
Yep. Kansas, I don't see any surprises at Kansas.
No.
Basically, if you drive a Toyota, you got a chance at winning at Kansas.
Pretty much.
Not Toyota fans here, but it is the way it is. I mean, if you go to Kansas and you're in a Toyota, past few years have shown you've got a good chance at winning.
Pretty much.
Round of 8. Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville. Same thing, I think, as last year. I don't see any surprises. There will be somebody. I put it to you this way: there'll be somebody that's in the Final Four in Martinsville that won't make it to Phoenix in the Final Four. Somebody that's in the top four when we get to Martinsville will not be in the top four when we leave Martinsville. Seems to happen every year.
Yeah.
No more wall ride, watermelon crawl as they called it.
That was funny. That was an interesting race.
And then Phoenix, the championship race. Come on, y'all. Let's swap Phoenix and Homestead.
I would agree. I think it should be back at Homestead for the championship race.
Phoenix just is not a good race. Now, I understand why they did it. They did it for weather. They did it to change up. I'm also of the opinion that I believe, and don't shoot me for this. I believe that the championship race should be at a different track every year, excluding Martinsville, a road course, or Talladega, Atlanta, or Daytona. I don't want it where it's a crapshoot. I want the best 4 drivers, since they're going to do this crap, the best 4 drivers in the series to be able to duke it out at different tracks every year. And there's some tracks that favor other drivers, like Kansas we talked about favors like Toyotas. Michigan historically has favored the Fords. Chevy's hit and miss on the tracks that they're just dominant at. So, but let's move it around.
That would definitely be. That would be more interesting to watch, just to see, because it's. I mean, almost every racetrack they go to, they have in the season, and you go to that one of those tracks. Maybe one of the tracks you go to once a year, because there's quite a few that are just one races, like Texas, Dover, Charlotte, kind of even. I wouldn't do Charlotte though, but
well, yeah, the oval would be great.
The oval would be good, but just to see the championship 4 duke it out at a different track every year would definitely be. It would definitely keep it very interesting, because it's kind of like, well, now you don't get your usual racetrack finale, which is always could definitely throw some people's picks off. People that like to bet in the sport would probably not like that idea at all, but I think it would actually make it just interesting and more of an attention grabber, really, for those that don't really watch NASCAR. Be like, oh, the championship race is where this year?
Yeah.
So,
well, and you said something else. You said tracks that we only go to once a year.
Yep.
I think that's a good point, a very valid point. The race at Phoenix, we've got a Phoenix in the spring, which the spring race and the championship race this year did not correlate very well at all. But if they want to do this, let's make the championship race that particular year that track is the championship race. That is the only time we race there, is for the championship race. We don't have another, so that does kind of cut Charlotte out because you're not going to move the 600.
Right.
Even though Coca-Cola 600 as a championship race would be kind of interesting.
That would be very interesting.
But you don't want to move it off of Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
And I know I said Memorial Day for Darlington, but I meant Labor Day. You do not want to move the 600 off of that. I also wish they moved Daytona back to the July 4th race. But they're not. So anyway, that's their scheduled calls. Let's talk about drivers. We'll talk about teams and drivers. For Hendrick Motorsports, we've got Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Alex Bowman. No new drivers.
Nothing new.
Changes over there. I look for William Byron and Chase Elliott to have really, really good years this year. Of course, Kyle Larson as well. Alex Bowman.
He's kind of a toss up because he kind of slides into his winning races, and he only gets one, maybe two every season.
Now, this says that Bowman is signed through 2026. I think Alex Bowman's on the hot seat.
I would agree.
He's won races, like you said, but his performance is not at the level of the other three drivers.
No.
Of course, I don't think his talent's at the level of the other three drivers. He is a talented driver. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's Hendrick Motorsports' talented driver.
I mean, yeah. Just because if you look at you compare the other three to Alex, two of them have championships. Kyle Larson won in 21, Elliott won in 20. Byron had an outbreak of a season this past season.
Absolutely.
With 10 wins, which...
6 wins.
Oh, excuse me, 6?
Yeah.
I can't count, apparently.
Larson won 10 and 21.
Okay. And then you just kind of got Bowman. Did he even win this previous
Bowman,
season?
no, he didn't because he was out with that back injury for a while.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that hurt. That definitely hurt his performance.
Of course, Elliott was winless this season as well, but that's because he had a broken leg, basically, and then he got penalized out of a race, and then we never really recovered from that. But,
no, not at all.
Not at all, but hopefully.
Had some good runs where he almost won races, but, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Exactly.
So that's Hendrick Motorsports. JTG Doherty Racing with Ricky Stenthouse. Good speedway racer, won the Daytona 500 last year.
Yep.
Don't quite see him doing as well this year as they did last year. If he makes the playoffs, which we're going to talk about our playoff predictions here in a little bit. If he makes the playoffs, it's not because he won. It's because he points his way in.
Yep.
All right, Colleague Racing. A lot of changes going on at Colleague.
Yeah.
AJ Allmendinger is going to be running some cup races, we believe. We don't know if he's going to be running in the 16 or the 10. Or the 13, I mean. They have not announced who's going to be running the 16. It was rumored for a while to be Ty Dillon, but he is going to be running for Rackley War in the Truck Series. So they haven't announced the 16. Daniel Hemrick in the 31. This is Daniel's second foray into the Cup Series. Colleague Racing surprised people last year by not running as well as they should have, as I believe they should have. I know that Matt Colleague, their owner, pours a lot of money into the sport. Chris Rice over there, the team manager, does an excellent job. Very active on social media. Love that. I look for them to run better. I still don't think they're a playoff quality team. Especially with the 16 maybe part-time drivers. So that's just my thoughts on Colleague. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that or
not really, because I agree with you. Good drivers, solid team. Last year did not do well as expected, but I see them getting, good finishes, but I don't see them making the playoffs.
No.
I hate to say that because I like AJ Allmendinger and Daniel Hemrick even, but I don't see them making playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. Richard Childress Racing, no changes. Still got Austin Dillon in the 3, Kyle Busch in the 8. My 2 cents, neither Austin, unless he wins at Daytona, Atlanta, or Talladega, unless he sneaks in a win there somewhere, I don't see him making the playoffs. Of course, like I said, we're going to talk more about the playoffs here in a little bit. Kyle Busch, 3 wins last year. I don't think he's going to get 3 this year. Mm-hmm. I think he'll get 1, maybe 2. But that's just Richard Childress. I've been. Let's just be honest. The truth be told, I've been a Richard Childress Racing fan since Dale Earnhardt won the 1998 Daytona 500. I was not much of a fan before, but there was just something about that race that clicked. I was a Rusty Wallace fan, so Rusty being Dale's nemesis, so to speak. But followed Kevin Harvick from when he was running in the Winston West series, all the way up through his time with RCR. They've fallen off the face of the earth from where they used to be.
And I think that was probably a big reason why Harvick kind of left, even after winning a championship with them. Oh, no, he didn't.
No.
He went to... Sorry.
He won 2 Busch Series championships.
He won, yeah. But once he realized in the Cup level, they weren't really much of a championship running team. Once he kind of realized that, he sadly was like, I got to go somewhere else. But, I mean, Dylan's always a toss-up. And then Kyle Busch is a good racer, but I think when he went over to Richard Childress, he doesn't have the equipment he used to have at all to win as many races. So,
but they just kind of and again, non-disclosure, we're not Kyle Busch fans, but it was a downgrade in equipment. But that just shows you how good of a driver Kyle Busch is he was able to go out and get 3 wins. But needless to say, Tyler Reddick also won in that car. So they, at some tracks with certain drivers, they do have an opportunity to win. They're just not. The 8 car for sure is a playoff caliber car. I don't think they're a championship contender yet. I think they can get there. I don't think they're there yet.
I would agree.
Spire Motorsports, lots of changes over here.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Corey LaJoie, nothing changes with him. He's still going to be in the 7 car. But here's the shocker. They've got Zane Smith on loan for this year from Trackhouse. Spire spent $40 million, rumor, to buy the charter from Live Fast Motorsports from the 78 team. And they're putting Zane Smith in the 71 car.
Wow.
They stole Zane from Ford. I saw that happening, but didn't see that happening. I thought for sure Ford would find a place for him. Because he did so well in the truck series for them.
Yep.
But I'm not surprised that he went to Chevy either. Zane, and again, and then they've got Carson Hocevar. They're bringing him up from the truck series in the 77 car. Those 2 rookies. I think the team's going to struggle. They're adding a 3rd car. A lot of times when you see teams add an extra team, they struggle. Hocevar and Smith being rookies, they're not going to be able to help out Corey LaJoie much. I just think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, I would agree. As he said, adding a new car, it's always a struggle at first. But then again, with the way everything, with the racing package and some of the toss-up tracks, who knows? They might wiggle their way somehow, especially with the 2 new rookies, because they're both good drivers themselves. I've seen Zane Smith race. I've seen Carson even race. I saw him race in the Snowball Derby in Pensacola, Florida at Five Flag Speedways. They both got the talent, but again, being in with Spire and then adding on that new car, they may not be able to get something this year.
Now, I will say this about Spire. Spire is putting in the work. They're hiring the people. They're putting in the money. But I don't think they're going to go from where they were last year to being a championship caliber team. They might squeak 1 car in the playoffs. If they do, I think it'll be Corey LaJoie.
Mm-hmm.
Which, but Moving on, we got Trackhouse. We've got Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez. Uh, I expect Ross to be Ross. Ross has the new Bush sponsorship.
Yep.
Stole it from Kevin Harvick. Well, Kevin left, but either which way. From my understanding, Kevin had a lot to do with that going over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect Chastain to be Chastain. He's going to win races. He's going to be a championship caliber driver. Obviously going to make the playoffs. Probably will go deep into the playoffs. Daniel Suarez is another driver that's on the hot seat. We talked about Alex Bowman being on the hot seat. Daniel been with his team. Believe this is his third year. I think he started in 21. They started the 99 and 21. Won a race in 22. Did not win anything in 23. He's on the hot seat. I think. I think
I would agree.
He's got to perform this year. There's too many drivers waiting in the wings with Trackhouse because you've got Shane moving over that's running the ABC program this year. You've got Zane Smith in the wings. He's got to perform.
Yeah. But then again, because Trackhouse seems like one of those teams that helps bring in the guys on the lower racing with Xfinity and Truck. They seem like kind of the open door for those guys to get their foot into the Cup. But I can also throw in, I've seen on social media, the bond Chastain and Suarez have is a really, really good bond for a pair of racers on a team. But I do still say he has to perform. But then again, I mean, like I said, the bond may save him for another year or two. But
let's see, he signed a multi-year extension with Trackhouse in 23. But we all know contracts can be bought out.
exactly. So I think I would agree with the hot seat. He needs to kind of step up and perform.
And I think he got a raw deal. Coming into when he came into Cup, he came in 2017 because Carl Edwards retired. He was rushed. I don't think he was ready. He moved. He played musical chairs for a while. To be honest with you, and landed a home in Trackhouse, and it could be just with what they're doing over there at Trackhouse. He may just be one of those lifetime drivers that drive there regardless of performance, just because of his personality and his popularity. Because they don't have problems putting sponsors on the side of the car.
No.
So, but I think he has potential to be a championship caliber driver. But he's got to win races.
Yep.
Front Row Motorsports, another surprise of the year. Not really changing anything. They still got Michael McDowell in the 34, Todd Gilliland in the 38. Todd ran, I believe, exceptionally well last year.
He did.
For the equipment. Of course, Michael McDowell won the Indy Road Course. Always known Michael McDowell was an excellent road course racer, but I always saw him more as a super speedway racer in the Cup Series. Won the Daytona 500 a couple years ago. Popular guy, popular win. Actually have his Daytona 500 winning diecast up there.
It's right over
there. I got his Indy Road Course win on pre-order. I think Michael McDowell has a good chance of making the playoffs this year. And Todd has another year of improvement. I'm not really sure he's playoff caliber yet. I think he's got a little ways to go, but I think he'll definitely improve.
I would agree.
Anything else on Front Row?
Nah, really.
All right. RFK. Absolutely nobody's going to be surprised by RFK.
Nope.
The past couple years, may have been a surprise. How well they did when Brad first stepped into the team last year with Chris Buescher winning 3 races, 2 in a row. That was impressive. Uh, both of them made the playoffs. Both of them finished good in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Buescher won 3 races. Brad did not win. I look for Brad to return to victory lane. Huge Brad Keselowski fan. For several reasons. First off, he took over the 2 car, which, like I said earlier, I was a Rusty Wallace fan, so him taking over the 2 car was big for me. Second, he beat Jimmy Johnson for a championship.
He did.
Always love guys that beat Jimmy Johnson. And then third, his support for the United States military. And just absolutely love Brad. I look for him to get back to victory lane. I would say both cars have multiple wins.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Especially with the breakout season, because they kind of had a breakout season this past season with Buescher winning 3, and then again 2 of them in a row, and then both cars making the playoffs and finishing well. So,
and Brad did that without a win.
Exactly, Brad did it on straight points, and so that shows you that team's got the potential and then some to make it all the way. So I'm definitely look out for them. Because they're always a good pair to watch as well.
Then they're adding the 60 car for a few select races this year, so that'll be interesting. Interesting to see how that works out. I know they're running, I believe it's David Reagan in the Daytona 500.
Yep.
And David Reagan is an awesome speedway driver.
He is a very good speedway driver.
So he could very well push Brad. We talked about who would win the Daytona 500.
Yep.
We both picked Brad. And it could be because David Reagan pushes him to the win.
It's
so
possible.
All right, then we've got what I really find is the biggest shocker of the year from all the media talk is Justin Haley with Rick Ware Racing. Surprised to see him go over there, but apparently they have a excellent relationship with RFK. Brad Keselowski is really pushing their partnership. Was able to get Justin signed to Rick Ware Racing. Justin is the only announced driver for Rick Ware Racing. No, they have not made they haven't made a number, driver, or sponsor announcement for their second car. It's believed it's still going to be the 15 car, but I mean, we have no clue how that's going to work. Mm-hmm. As far as Justin's concerned, I believe that, and in the past, you can go look at my Twitter timeline, I've not had nice things to say about Rick Ware Racing.
No.
Rick Ware Racing, to me, has always been the scheduled tweet caution. Anytime Bob Pockris or Jeff Gluck or anybody on Twitter would say, caution's out for the 51 or the 15, it was almost like they already had it typed up. I believe Justin's going to help.
Saved in drafts.
Yeah. From everything that I've heard from Justin and other media, Rick Ware's putting in the money, finally. We'll see.
Well, like you said, Keselowski's been pushing with that partnership with them and getting Justin Haley in there, who's a pretty good known driver. I definitely think that would maybe push Rick Ware to put in some money, be like, hey, we got a driver that could do something if I actually invest into this. So I think Keselowski's definitely going to be a big part of pushing that, but hopefully we'll see how well they do. So
yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a wait and see.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For them. All right, then we get into what has been my favorite team ever since Kevin Harvick stepped into the 4 car. I was a team before as a Tony Stewart fan, as a fan of the team, but not near as much until Kevin Harvick. So
yeah.
We've got Josh Berry taking over for Harvick. according to SHR social media, if you were a doubter, you don't know anything about them. Past couple seasons, I've been a doubter. Harvick won 2 races in 2022. I personally believe they majorly let him down in 2023. Their equipment's not where it needs to be. Their talent, they have all the talent in the world.
Oh yeah, they've got the talent for sure.
But I don't know what happened with their equipment with this next gen car. Harvick kept the team afloat the past couple of years. But Harvick's gone. So they've got to do something. Again, they said on social media, the doubters, if they think that they're out of it, don't know them. Again, it's wait and see. It's one of those, I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
And if you guys win at Daytona, I'm still not going to believe it because Daytona's
it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
You can't.
Now, if you go out at the Clash and all 4 of your cars finish 1 through 4 or in the top 10, that's a different story.
Yeah.
We go to Atlanta, I'm not going to believe it at Atlanta either. But when we start getting into the meat of the schedule, if y'all are winning races, y'all are running up front, then but again, it's wait and see. I think Josh has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
He showed
Definitely.
that in the 9 car and the 48 car this past year. Him and Rodney started working together not too long after the announcement.
Oh yeah.
Of Josh going over there, they started running the Kevin Harvick Incorporated late model together for some races. So they've started to build that chemistry. I look forward to seeing what Josh can do. I believe Josh, again, has all the talent in the world. And is a potential race winner.
Agreed.
Will be a championship caliber driver in the near future. Now here's the worst kept secret in the garage and off.
This is probably true.
Noah Gragson goes to the 10 car. All right. Eric Almirola stayed another year longer than he longer than he wanted to. Really ran like crap. I don't believe that's Eric's fault. I think that was the equipment's fault.
Yeah.
But because other than Harvick, all of them ran like crap. But Noah Gragson in the 10 car.
That was definitely. I kind of see this as how Carl Larson was with the 5 car for Hendricks, because Noah got into some trouble. Of course, he apologized and he did what was needed to fix that. Noah's also a really, really talented driver. Big time winner in Xfinity. So
got them all back there.
Yep. To see him take over the 10 car for Stuart Haas as a basically a new face to that team. He's not new to the Cup Series, as he was running the number 62 for a little while.
And then he ran the 42 last year until he got in trouble.
Yeah. But I think Noah's gonna kind of be. I think it might be a potential Kyle Larson story, as in he comes in and he blows up basically. Not literally, but like winning races and stuff. Championship wise, I don't see it though, just because he would be dealing with something very new to him, being in the Cup Series playoffs. But I definitely see him getting pretty far into it as that new face.
I at least see him making the round of 12.
Yeah.
If he can get a win. Now, without a win, I don't see them even making the playoffs. Just because, again, Stuart Haas has got to put performance on the track in all 4 cars. Somebody asked on Twitter, it's like, which driver do you think needs to be improved? Because I made a comment that's like, we'll believe it when we see it. And, of course, my response to that is all of them. All 4 of these drivers are championship caliber drivers. Josh Berry has proved it in the Xfinity Series. Noah Gragson's proved it in the Xfinity Series. Ryan Preece has proved it not only in the modifieds, but when he was running in the limited in the Xfinity Series. Chase Briscoe has proved it in the Xfinity Series. They're all championship caliber drivers. This is supposed to be a championship caliber team. This year, you better prove it, because you got 4 drivers that are excellent on the racetrack. So you've met Noah.
I have met Noah. He actually, I met him through a really good friend of mine who had friends who were friends with Noah. Kind of funny how that line works, but I met Noah at the Snowball Derby last year at Five Flag Speedways in Pensacola, Florida. One of the biggest pro late model races,
Super late models,
of the year, especially down there. They put a lot of work into it. I got to take a picture with him, saw him race, talked to him for a moment. My hat was stolen off of me during driver intros to that race by one of the guys, and they handed it to him, and I got it back and had his signature on it. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't want the signature on the hat, but thanks. Because it was a 55th, I was just going to have the hat to kind of have as a souvenir, but his signature on it's just really cool, especially getting it at the racetrack. Noah's a really good guy. He's fun to talk to, fun to watch. So that was definitely a cool experience. Of course, I've met a lot of NASCAR drivers at the Snowball Derby, including William Byron. Made him jealous with that.
Yeah.
Took a cool picture with William. William's pretty chill, pretty cool. I've met Ryan Preece. He's been there the 2 times I was there. Brad Kowalski was there. I didn't get to meet him because he didn't qualify for the Derby, but it was cool to see him out there racing those cars. Who are some others? Goodness, there were a lot of people there. Of course, it's not just Cup Series drivers. There were some other drivers from trucks and Xfinity because Carson Hocevar was there.
You got to meet Eric Jones, too.
I got to meet Eric Jones as well. Eric Jones was there. Was he there last?
Yeah,
he was there last year. I met him the year before though, so I didn't really go bug him that previous year. Ty Majeski, I love Ty. Sorry, buddy, you're really short compared to me, but you're a really good driver, really good racer. Grant Enfinger, he's cool because he drives. He was driving my number 32, because that's always been my sports number. So the Snowball Derby is really cool if you ever get to see it. It's really big in the super late models world because a lot of NASCAR drivers been there. I know Chase Elliott was even there. Sadly, he was there before I got to go. Boo-hoo, but oh well, because Elliott's my favorite. But it's really cool to see all those guys because they're not afraid to interact with you. If you come up and you're like, hey, I'm a fan of yours. Can I take a picture? Can I get your autograph? They're always willing to. Because Ryan Preece, I would say the first year I was there, he had to go start up the car, and because they were about to line up the cars and do driver intros. And I'm over there, I'm just like, Ryan, can I get a picture and your autograph? It's like, please, because I've been watching Ryan since Modified. I'm a big Ryan Preece fan. So they'll take the time, if they can, obviously. Don't like, as they're in the car, be annoying them. But if you can go to that race and you can catch them, it's definitely a fun experience. And don't just go for the Derby, go for the whole week, because they have a party on Wednesday, and they got racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Snowflake 100 is on Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon is the Snowball Derby. And like I said, every single race is fun to watch. Even the qualifying's pretty cool, just because, it's pretty quick because it's a short track. I've met a lot of people there, really, really nice. If you run into someone mean there, don't worry about it, because you probably won't. So, big in the NASCAR community, because a lot of drivers go participate in there. So, like I said, if you get the chance, definitely go. I'm hoping I can return one year, taking him and some other people that love racing.
And I've been a Noah Gragson fan since he joined Junior Motorsports.
Oh, yeah.
I've got all of his wins. Diecast, most of them autographed. I think the only one that's not autographed is his Daytona win from a few years ago, because I had to buy that. I didn't pre-order that one. I got that one secondhand. So, all right, moving on in we get to Penske. Boo. Ryan is the only Penske driver we really like.
Yeah.
Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Joey's seat's obviously secure. Joey's a proven winner. Joey's a proven champion. Unfortunately, we don't like Joey Logano.
We're not Joey fans. Sorry.
we will not be. We will not be unbiased. I'll be honest with you. We'll try to keep it as unbiased as possible, but there's some drivers that no, sorry. Maybe an excellent person out of the car. I really don't care how they are out of the car. If they're really cool, but if they're a jerk in the car, that's just, no. And Austin Cindric, of course, Ryan Blaney is proven champion. He won it this year.
Won it.
Shocked, not shocked. Because Penske ran like crap this year.
They did. They really did. I was really shocked to see him. His two biggest races was winning Talladega, which got him in a round of 8, and then winning Martinsville, which got him to the Final Four. And
winning the Coke 600 got him in the playoffs.
Yep. So Blaney, I mean, I saw it coming. I just didn't see it coming the previous season, just because it seemed like Penske was struggling a lot. Because Blaney was the only one that won last season, wasn't he?
He was. Joey won one race early in the year, but they just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, but seeing Blaney win is pretty cool. I'm a Blaney fan as well. And, Elliott and Blaney are good friends. So seeing both of those guys hoist up that championship trophy was pretty freaking cool to see. So congrats to Ryan Blaney on winning. Hopefully, you can kind of win some more this year. Don't win the championship, though. I need Elliott to win. Or Byron. Or Byron would win. Just because we're fans of them. And so, but Blaney, congrats, dude. Definitely deserved, because you've put a lot of work into what you've done with Penske. Because I know you were big in Xfinity as well, trucks even. So seeing you succeed in Cup as well is pretty freaking cool.
And your dad had some pretty awesome paint schemes back in the day. Let's face it. And he drove. Dave Blaney drove for Dodge for a while. I'm a huge Dodge fan. I wish Dodge would come back to the sport. Dave Blaney drove for Richard Childress in the 07 Jack Daniels car. That family has had championship heritage, and it was good to see Ryan pull it off. With the exception of the fact that William was in the Final Four, and obviously I'm pulling for William all the way. So
we were both pulling for William. I was hoping if William couldn't do it, Ryan could do it, because I don't even remember the other two, but I knew they weren't. I wasn't big fans of them.
Well, it was Larson and
shoot,
I don't even remember.
I don't remember. I'm sorry, guys. We're bad memories.
Obviously, we don't like you very much. We don't remember you were in the Final Four. Austin Cindric. This says, now, y'all, just for reference, we're going off of Wikipedia's page. It doesn't say anything about his contract. It just says that he's returning in 2024. Austin Cindric's dad, Tim Cindric, is heavily involved with Penske Racing on the IndyCar side. But I still say Austin Cindric is on the hot seat. He's won the Daytona 500 in 2022, and we haven't heard from him since.
Yep. And again, the Daytona 500, it's a toss-up just because it's Daytona. So it's not really you won this because you're good. You just kind of won it because
you were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Because Brad took out Joey.
Exactly. So I would agree he's on the hot seat just because we haven't heard from him, and they brought him in thinking he was going to be a big time driver,
and he was in the Xfinity Series. I mean, he won the Xfinity Series championship, lost his second championship at the line to Daniel Hemrick at Phoenix. So he's a championship caliber driver in the Xfinity Series, but he just has not shown us a squat in Cup. Now, I don't know if it's equipment or talent.
That one, being Penske, of course, they did have.
They've been off the past couple years.
They've been off the past couple years.
Ford's been off the past couple years.
Well, yeah, but so it may be. Of course, it could always be a mixture of both. Sorry, Cindric, but I mean, there are a lot of drivers we've discussed about that have the absolute potential of succeeding at Xfinity, but we don't think they'll do well in Cup. And we haven't seen you race enough to really decide that on you. But after another season or two, we may say, hey, he needs to go back to Xfinity because he was succeeding very well in there, and he's just not getting nothing done. But again, we don't know if it's, just talent or equipment, and so that's why we're going to wait a little longer before we kind of decide that. Of course, then again, that's just our opinion. Somebody else out there may say you deserve. I do think you deserve the chance you got to sit in a Cup car, and because of how well you were in Xfinity. But again, there is a difference between Xfinity and Cup, and it could come down to you just need to go back to Xfinity. That's just an opinion of mine. But again, we're gonna keep watching, seeing how well you do. Because if you break out, you're just gonna make us look like a bunch of baboons.
Yeah, because he could very well have a breakout season if Penske gets their equipment, and Austin has the talent. He's able to show us what he's able to do.
Exactly. So,
which leads the same comment on being good in Xfinity and not showing it in Cup leads us to Harrison Burton with the Wood Brothers. Now, I understand the Wood Brothers is essentially a fourth Penske car, but I think when I say fourth Penske car, they literally are the fourth car. They're the fourth car to get the tech. They're the fourth car to get the engineering. They're the fourth car to get, the parts and pieces. I think that they're, and Harrison has shown a lot of potential in the Xfinity series. Of course, his dad Jeff Burton had an excellent career in the Cup Series. Wood Brothers needs to step it up. If Harrison is going to stay in the Cup Series in this ride or in a quality ride, the Wood Brothers had better step it up, or Harrison's also on the hot seat. And I say Harrison's on the hot seat for his NASCAR career, not just because I don't know if there's any Xfinity teams that could pick him up or truck teams that could pick him up, just because of the teams that we lost in the truck series with Kyle Busch Motorsports and GMS and stuff like that.
And plus, being a Ford driver, there's like no seats left in Ford racing.
Nothing.
The biggest thing I'll throw in is the biggest thing with Ford is they were trying so hard to get Haley Deegan bumped up into Xfinity. Sure, she has it right now, but that was the longest wait for her was just getting a seat.
It took them a couple years to get one. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, 2311 Racing.
I like this team.
Again, we're not Toyota fans, but we like 2311. Bubba Wallace in 23, Tyler Reddick returns at 45. Both of them, of course, Bubba did not win a race, but he still had an exceptional year in points.
He raced his way in the round of 16 at least with points.
Finished 10th in the playoffs.
He did. He finished well.
Tyler Reddick won a lot more races than I actually thought Tyler was going to win, and not because of Tyler's ability or 2311's ability. It just, with him moving over to Toyota, I thought it was going to be too much, a lot more of a transition. But I look for this team again to make the playoffs. Both drivers. I believe Tyler is ready to be a championship contender. If he makes Final Four, it would not be a shocker. Bubba can finish easily in the top 10 again. So there's nothing really surprising going to come out of 2311, I don't think.
No.
Joe Gibbs Racing. Big fan of Martin Truex. Been a big fan of Martin Truex since he stepped foot in the Xfinity Series. He's going to win races. He's going to be in the championship, or he's going to be in playoffs. I don't know what happened to them this year. They made the playoffs. They were regular season champions, and then they fell off the face of the earth.
Yep.
I don't see that happening again next year.
No, not at all.
Don't know when Martin's going to hang up the helmet. He says as long as he's having fun and winning races, he's going to keep going. This could be Martin's last year, just so he goes out on top. If it is, I'm not going to be surprised. If it's not, I'm not going to be surprised. Martin, I need you to retire, okay? Just because I'm running out of space for die casts. And you keep winning races, so I keep buying die casts. Denny Hamlin.
I think our biggest problem with Denny is we respect him. He's listened to his podcast. I've seen a lot of things on social media with him. I think the biggest thing with Denny is just he drives a Toyota, and we're not Toyota people.
And Denny plus, at the wrong times has a habit of pushing our favorite driver's wrong buttons.
Yeah.
He's done that through his whole career.
Yeah.
Him and Harvick used to have a lot of run-ins. Him and Chase have had a few run-ins. Him and William have had a few run-ins even.
Yeah. But
Denny, like I said, I listened to his Action Detrimental podcast all year last year. Glad he's coming back. I look forward to the podcast in 2024.
He's also part owner of 2311, which is very interesting.
The other reason we love that team is Michael Jordan. We're both huge Chicago fans. I grew up in the Bulls dynasty with Michael. He's a huge Bulls fan. But Denny, I drive a Toyota, man. I mean, but that's the only thing that holds us back on Bubba, Tyler, and Martin too. It's you drive a Toyota.
But Denny's been very loyal to Joe Gibbs Racing ever since he started. I don't see him changing unless Joe Gibbs randomly changes his mind on what manufacturer he wants to sign with. I don't see that changing.
I honestly, one of these days, before he retires, or maybe when he retires, I think Denny's going to take the 11 team over to 2311. Just because it would only that makes sense. You got the 23 car. If Denny is not driving the 11 car, it doesn't make sense for it not to be part of 2311. Or if it is, they're going to have to change their name to 23 Denny.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing with that was when I think they were kind of making up the team. We think Denny went to Joe Gibbs and said, hey, eventually I want to take the 11 and put it over with my new team. And we think there was some sort of agreement there. We just don't know when that's going to happen.
And we don't know if that's true. I mean, that's just
what we think will happen because of the name 2311. Because, again, 23 makes sense with Bubba. 45 even makes sense because it's Michael Jordan's second number that he wore for half a season.
Hey, I just found our fourth playoff driver.
Yeah, Christopher Bell. I actually looked it up, too.
Sorry, dude. We just... You kind of... Your team fumbled the ball badly in that race. So,
yeah.
That's why we didn't remember. But Christopher Bell, man, he's... How can you say he's not a championship 4 favorite?
I mean, he made the championship 4, so...
And really impressive with the wins that he's done.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, sorry, Christopher. We apologize that we forgot that you were in the championship 4, but do better next year. We'll remember. Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
Man.
Excuse me.
The kid's got talent. The kid was quiet in 2023. Off the racetrack. He was not quiet on the racetrack. He had some really, really impressive runs for a rookie. I think he's going to do a little bit better in 2024. Almost made the playoffs. Without a win, I don't see him making the playoffs this year. I personally, I know we're going to play playoff talk here in a minute. I believe the playoffs, it's really going to be hard to make it on points this year. Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot like 2022. Just because of the potential winners that we have. I could be wrong, and we could have 6 cars make the playoffs on points.
Yeah.
But without a win, he's going to be close. I think he'll be 17th, and I think it'll come down to Darlington, whether he makes the playoffs or not. But without a win, I don't see him making the playoffs. Now we get into the Legacy Motor Club. John Hunter Nemechek in the 42, Eric Jones in the 43. Switching to Toyota.
That was kind of unexpected for sure.
Jimmy Johnson didn't like him much when he was driving. Didn't like him much as an owner. Don't like him at all now. I never really liked Jimmy Johnson at any point in time. Well, I take it back. I was a fan of his in IndyCar because he was a NASCAR driver, moved to IndyCar. But first year with Toyota.
There's going to be a toss-up just because of basically new equipment. They're going to have to learn how it handles with their drivers. Both young drivers with Nemechek and Jones. And
Eric Jones has proven that he's won in this car.
He has.
As a Chevrolet. Southern 500 last year. Or not last year, but 2022. John Hunter Nemechek, he's a proven winner in trucks and Xfinity. This is his second trip into the Cup Series. I just don't see either team. I see them making an improvement off last year, but I don't see either team making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's because the biggest thing they'll have to deal with is just the...
That's just
the manufacturer equipment being changed.
My 2 cents worth.
So yeah.
So y'all, my iPad decided to close out the page I was looking at.
Well, he's pulling up basically because we're going to go into playoffs now.
Y'all know how many Cup playoffs there are?
There are a lot.
Stanley Cup playoffs. MLB or MLS Cup playoffs. So you just don't type in 2023 Cup playoffs and expect the NASCAR Cup Series to be at the top of the score because they're not. They're actually towards the bottom, which is pathetic.
So as he pulls that up, I'm gonna throw in real quick. I didn't realize this. I just saw the posts from NASCAR because I was scrolling for who the Final Four were last season. I did not realize that it's back-to-back championships for Penske. Because Logano won it in 22.
Boo.
Yeah, not that we cared about that one, but Blaney winning it, that is a back-to-back. Who knows? That might bring the team a lot of momentum coming into 24 being back-to-back champions.
And I was really shocked at Penske's performance this year. Joey won early in the season. Blaney won the Coke 600, but other than those 2 races, and Joey kind of lucked into his win. I can't remember which track it was at, but either which way, those 2 races, other than those 2 races, until the playoffs, we never heard from Penske. And then in the playoffs, we never heard from Joey. He made the playoffs, but we never heard from him. Yep. He didn't make any kind of noise in the playoffs whatsoever. And then Ryan comes out there and points his way up into the round of 12 and then goes on and wins his way into the Final Four. And then wins the championship. So we did not see that coming from their performance. But so 2023 playoff drivers. Let's talk. We're going to take these one at a time and talk whether they make 2024 playoffs. And how deep into the playoffs they go. Kyle Larson.
He'll definitely make it. 100%.
I agree. How deep does he go?
Deep? Well, he's been constantly making it to the Final Four.
Well, he round to 8 last year.
He made it to round of 8 only last year, though. I would say round of 8 as far as he goes this year.
I agree. Denny Hamlin. Hey, Denny got engaged. He's still ringless. Because just because he got engaged, his fiance got the ring. He don't get one until wedding day.
Hamlin, I definitely see him making it as well. Just because, but then again, yeah, I don't see him going far. Maybe round of 12 this year.
Wow, you're calling Hamlin out.
I'm calling you out. Sorry, Hamlin. Just because I think some of these newer guys are going to come in and start replacing some of these veterans. It's part of the racing world now. That's the point we've come to at this point of the racing world.
I'll go with Hamlin round of 8, and Hamlin will not be the one in the 4 going into Martinsville that's not in the 4 leaving Martinsville. I think he will be ranked 7th or 8th going into Martinsville. And I don't believe he makes it out of the round of 8. Tyler Reddick.
Reddick, heck of a season for him for 2023. I'd see him making it in. I'd probably say round of 16, if not round of 12 at least, obviously, because round 16 is the first round. Just because, like I said, you got these other drivers starting to mosey their way in there. But I'd say he'd make it again as well.
I agree. I say round of 8.
Reddick's definitely got the potential. He showed that this previous season with his winning and just getting there.
I say round of 8, top 10 in points. I don't believe he'll make the Final 4. William Byron, two drivers now that made the Final 4. William Byron, I say he goes. William Byron is my championship pick for 2024. So obviously he makes the championship 4 and wins the race, or at least wins the championship.
I'd actually have to agree, just because he had an outbreak of a season in 23, with 6 wins, and even if he didn't win, he still had a good finish in almost every single race. I don't know what happened in the championship 4 race at Phoenix. We started in front, and we just kind of, once we got past, we had no speed.
And we just got to make it through Martinsville, because he had, for some reason, that fall race in Martinsville that Ryan Blaney won, he was nowhere to be seen.
He struggled with that car. Top 15 still. He still raced the crap out of that car to get a top 15. That shows you how good of a driver he is. So I also agree with him being, he would be my championship pick as well.
Christopher Bell.
Bell, good driver, good team. I would say he doesn't make it, actually.
You're going to say he does not make the playoffs? He
does not make the playoffs.
Wow. I was going to have him going out in the round of 12, but that's because I just don't think they're going to keep the momentum up, because he's made the Final 4 the past 2 years in a row.
He has.
I don't think they're going to keep the momentum.
And, yeah.
But, wow, calling him out.
I'm sorry, Chris, but that's just what I'm...
So, you go call him out. Let's go ahead and talk. Who takes his place?
Who takes his place?
That did not make the playoffs in 2023.
Well, that's easy for me. I think Elliott would take his place.
Elliott takes...
Because we know he's a champion. He won 2020. I think our biggest problem with Elliott in 23 was just our injury. The injury with the broken leg from the snow incident threw us out, and we could not recover from that. He even had shoulder surgery during off season. But I see him getting back in that car this season and racing its tailpipe off to make it pretty far. I would say Elliott would also go to the final, be part of the Final 4. He would definitely be the one that gave Byron a run for his money. So
man, that's a bold call. I think Chase is going to make the playoffs. I don't think he's going to replace Christopher Bell. I'll give you who I think he's going to replace here in a little bit. Brad Keselowski.
I think he'll make it again.
I agree.
I think he'll go even further this time. I'm gonna say round of 12. Actually, I'm gonna
he
say
made it to the round of 8.
I'm gonna say round of 8 because just because he raced strictly on points. So who just with him, how RFK has been since he's kind of joined partnership with Roush Fenway in that team, and how much they've brought in for that team. I say he's getting some wins this season, and he's going round of 8 easily.
I agree. Chris Buescher.
Same thing.
Round of 8?
Round of 8, just because.
No, I think round of 12.
Round of 12?
Yeah. I think that the races.
The race
in
lineup.
the round of 12 is not going to be his foray. I don't think that lineup is. But I just think he's round of 12. I think something's going to happen that's going to keep him out of the round of 8.
All right.
Cal Busch.
Ooh, that's a.
Yeah, you want to talk about a coin toss?
That's a coin toss.
What we talked about RCR earlier.
But that's not because of the driver. That's more because of equipment. Just because he kind of wiggled his way into his wins this season just because of equipment being the.
So does he make the playoff?
Busch, I would say he makes it.
On a win or points?
Points.
I agree, and I think he's out of the round of 16.
Yeah, I would also.
I don't
agree.
think he goes to the round of 12. Last year's champion Ryan Blaney.
I would say, that's a tough one because being a champion, who knows what he's going to bring in. He may fall off just because it's Penske, or him and Penske may take off just because of the championship. With being back to back, obviously, beginning of 23, even though they were champions, coming in as champions, they weren't really heard of.
Yeah, they fumbled the ball.
Being back to back, that could really bring something in. And plus, Ryan being a young, talented driver, as he has shown, I think he makes it. I really don't know how far he would go though. Just because of the championship.
I say round of 8.
Round of 8.
And I think Ryan Blaney will be the 4th driver going into Martinsville that does not make the Final 4 coming out of Martinsville. Unless he wins it because he runs really well at Martinsville, I just think there's others that. I know he won in the fall last year, but I think that was they had to. I'm not sure he's going to do that this year. Chastain. Remember, he's got that new Busch.
He does have the new Busch sponsorship. But for him, that may be a little boost into the season with the new partnership. It's always exciting getting a new sponsorship or partnership. I think he'll make it. Round of 12, I would say.
I'm in agreement. I agree totally.
He did win. He won the championship race.
Yep.
Won it as a driver. Which
if
was
he
interesting.
makes the championship 4, he's dangerous.
He is very dangerous.
I mean,
because
he's been there. He was there in 2022. Did not have a good race at Phoenix. Won Phoenix in 2023. If he makes Phoenix in the championship 4, he's going to be dangerous.
He will be.
But I don't think he's going to make it out of the round of 12.
I would also agree.
Truex.
It's a tough one because ever since the big 3, as they called it a few seasons ago, he hasn't really shown much since that season.
Well, he was regular season champion this year, but when they made the playoffs, first race at Darlington, they fell apart.
They fell. Truex, I think, could round of. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think he makes it. But I'd have to say kind of a repeat of last year with round of 16, just because.
He made it to the round of 8. I mean, just on sheer points. That he had accumulated in the regular season with the bonus points and the playoff points and stuff like that. I don't think he makes it. I think he makes it to the round of 12. I don't think he makes it out of the round of 12. And I think he's the 12th car. And I'm going to blame that solely on crew chief. James Small's a good crew chief. I'm not sure he's championship caliber crew chief.
Yeah,
He's a race winning crew chief, but championship caliber is.
When they were first paired, they struggled to find what they were looking for, and they've had some wins, but they've still struggled quite a bit as a team.
Yep. Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace. I think he'll make it in. I'm gonna say round of 12, if he can pull it, because if he made it this year strictly on points, and if he could just get a win or two in there somewhere, because we know he's won before in the past. If he could just get a win, I think he could easily do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he goes around to 12. I think he finishes 10th, 11th, 12th in points, somewhere in there, like he did this year. Joey.
No, I don't want to talk about him.
Well, he's going to make the playoffs.
He'll make the playoffs for sure.
I don't see him going past round of 16.
No, I think
unless Penske, like you said when we talked about Ryan, unless Penske just really comes out of the block, guns firing. He'll get one win, he'll make the playoffs, and that's it. That's just my opinion.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that because I dislike Joey. I'm just saying that because until we may change all these, this entire conversation may change mid-season. We may have totally different 16 playoff drivers, and we may have Joey, our championship favorite at the time. We'll just have to wait. But these are preseason predictions. Who knows?
We're not even writing these down, so
yeah,
we're not gonna really remember.
We're gonna have to go back and watch this to know who our picks were.
Yeah. So like he said, once mid-season, it may be completely different.
Now, here's my Chase Elliott replacement driver. This is who Chase Elliott replaces in the playoffs that made it in 2023, that will not make it in 2024. The reason he won't make it in 2024 is because he's no longer completing in the NASCAR Cup Series. Chase Elliott replaces Kevin Harvick in the top 16 playoffs. Why? Because Harvick's not driving anymore.
Harvick has retired. That would make good sense.
I don't see him replacing the person. What was Christopher Bell? Yeah, Christopher Bell. You said I don't see him replacing Christopher Bell. I see Christopher at least making the playoffs. So Kevin Harvick obviously made the 2023 playoffs. Will not make the 2024 playoffs. I have Chase Elliott replacing him. Since you picked Chase to replace Christopher, who fills Kevin's spot?
So I'm gonna pull the wild card. I think if we can get Stewart-Haas to boost what they've been struggling with, I think it would either be Chase Briscoe or Ryan Preece. One of those two drivers, just because and I don't say Barry or Gregson just because Barry is a rookie. He's still kind of getting his feet wet, even though he did really well when he was driving for Elliott while he was out. And then Gregson,
he's sort of a rookie because he didn't spend half the season in the car.
He missed half the season last year, so he may have a great beginning of the season, but once we get towards, we really need something to happen, I don't know if he'll be able to pull it.
And that's just because he doesn't have the experience in the car.
Yeah, that's nothing. We know he's got the talent. It's just the experience-wise. Because you heard my spiel earlier with the Snowball Derby, meeting Gregson. He's a great guy. He's got talent, but experience there might be his problem.
Well, see, I think my thing with that team, again, like I said earlier, they got to show us something. If they're able to show us something, I agree it's going to be Briscoe or Preece because they have the experience in the car. Both of them are proven winners in the Xfinity Series. If Stewart-Haas gets it together like they're saying they're going to get it together, all four cars will have a shot at wins. I do see Briscoe and Preece pulling off, one of the two of them pulling off a win. Wouldn't shock me to see both of them win.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it would because I don't know if Stewart can pull themselves up that quick. Stewart-Haas can do that, but
yeah, true.
We'll see. So that's a good replacement for Harvick. Okay. Does Ricky Stenhouse Jr. make the playoffs in 2024?
See, this one's gonna be quite an interesting take for me because it was pointed out to me by my grandfather.
Who's a huge Stenhouse
He
Jr.
is
fan,
a
by the way.
big old fan.
He is a fanboy.
We're not we're not fans of Ricky. We call him Wreck'em Ricky.
Wreck'em Ricky Stenhouse.
Yep, and my grandfather calls him Tricky Ricky. Just because he's got tricks up his sleeve. Of course, when you wreck everybody, it is a trick, technically.
It is a trick, yeah.
But it was pointed out to me, he did have a win. But even races, he was there. He top 10, top 5 even. He did not struggle at all this season with getting good, getting to that checkered flag at a good position. So I would say he makes round of 16 on points. If he gets a win, I could say even maybe round of 12, just because he now has he's got his feet kind of wet with the playoffs and getting a win, so he kind of knows what. And then, like I said, just being up there and positioning it's also a huge boost.
Well, I'm going to disagree, and here's my reason for disagreeing. It's not Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky has proven he's got talent to win in the Cup Series. I don't believe that JTG Doherty can do this 2 years in a row. Financially, technologically, engineering-wise, I don't believe they can do this 2 years in a row. I don't remember who they have their alliance with. I think they get, if I remember correctly, they get their engines. Their engines are ECR engines. But they could be Hendrick engines. I don't remember. But I just don't see the team doing it. Ricky, like I said, obviously has the talent to do it. I cannot see the team doing this well 2 years in a row. They could surprise me, and if they do, that's great. I just don't see the team pulling it. My pick for replacement of Ricky Stenhouse in the championship in the 16 is Alex Bowman. I know he said he was on the hot seat, but I believe that Alex Bowman, because before he got hurt last year, he was leading the points.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
If he is fully recovered, and listening to Denny Hamlin on his podcast talked about the feel in the seat of a race car, and after having a back injury, it takes you a while to get that feel that you're looking for back. If he is fully healed and fully recovered from his back injury, which back injuries, it's really hard to tell. But if he is fully recovered, I believe he'll win a race and make the playoffs. I don't believe he'll go past the round of 16. But he is my driver to replace Ricky Stenhouse if he is fully healed. If he's not fully healed and doesn't have that feel, then I say Ty Gibbs is going to replace Ricky in the playoffs. And I just say that simply off of Ty Gibbs being Joe Gibbs Racing and what that team does consistently year in and year out. Yes, I hate putting another Toyota in there over a Chevrolet, but got to call it, we're like I said, we're going to try to be as unbiased as possible. So, it leaves us to number 16, Michael McDowell.
So, he's definitely proven himself last few years, winning the 500, and then last year winning.
See, he doesn't have the Indy Road Course to fall back on this year.
That is true,
but he still has COTA.
He has COTA and Sonoma,
Watkins Glen. Well, Watkins Glen's in the playoffs.
Round of 12, round of 16 right. Now.
And Chicago. And he did, I think he performed pretty well at Chicago, too.
He did.
So he still has, and then, of course, there's Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega.
Which, I mean, we've seen him win at Daytona. So, but again, those are the coin tosses.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think he could weasel his way in there again just from a road course win.
What a choice of words.
Well.
I agree. I mean, I actually think Michael McDowell makes it. He made it this year. He was out at the end of round of 16. I would like to see him make the round of 12. I don't see it happening. I don't think that front row is ready. Again, I go back to what I talked about with Ricky, the team. I don't think the team is financially ready to go past the round of 12. And if they were, I think that when he won Daytona, because of what the purse for winning Daytona, I think that would have been huge in getting him into past the round of 16. But I say financially, because finances brings engineering, finances brings talent over into your team. I just don't financially think they're ready to go past the round of 16. So, but I do see them making the playoffs. All right, so that is our playoff picks. All right, we're going to skip the round of 12. We're going to skip the round of 8. This is our championship 4 from last year. Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell. We've already said that we don't think Ryan's going to make it. He's going to make round of 8. He's not going to make. And we've both pretty much picked Chase Elliott to replace him. William Byron, he's both of our championship picks.
He's our pick.
So obviously he's going to be in it. You've got Christopher Bell not making the playoffs. I've got Christopher Bell out after the round of 12, didn't I?
Round of 12 or 8. One of the two.
So Christopher Bell's out. Who replaces him in the championship 4?
That's actually a tough one, just because I don't know. I would because we said a lot of rounds of 8s, but we didn't really say very many round of 4, championship 4. I think so we got Elliott and Byron, and
we both got Larson's on here. We both have him out and making it to the round of 8, but not making championship 4.
Correct. So,
but we're gonna get to that in a minute. So Christopher Bell.
Who did I say? Well, I said Elliott would replace Bell, but I'm trying to remember who I said for round of 8, because kind of got to get to round of 8 before you get to championship 4. I would probably say. Did I say Reddick was a round of 8?
I don't
remember. If I did, I would probably say Tyler Reddick.
And see, that was going to be mine. I was going to say Reddick replaces Bell in the final 4.
He had a really good season, and he was pretty close. And he was one of those, I think we were going in, and then he was there, but as we came out, he wasn't. I think he'll be able to kind of clean that up this season and make his way into the championship 4. So that would be my third pick.
We both kind of picked Reddick to take over for Bell. I'm not even sure we both had him going to the round of 8, but
I don't remember.
If he makes the round of 8, I think he's definitely going to make the final 4.
Yep.
Kyle Larson. Now, I know I said that Kyle Larson would make the round of 8. I don't think he's going to make the final 4. And I'm going to blow your head off. Because I don't even think I said I was going to make the round of 8. If Ross Chastain makes the round of 8, he will make the championship 4. And I also think he's very dangerous, like I said earlier, at Phoenix. But again, when he won at Phoenix in 2023, he did not have that championship pressure on him.
Correct.
When he did the in 2022, when he had that championship pressure on him, he finished second in the race. To Joey Logano. No, he finished third in the race, I believe, to Joey Logano. Because I think, if I remember right, Ryan Blaney finished second. And he finished second in the championship. I think Ross Chastain, if he makes the round of 8, will be in the Final Four.
Okay. I could agree with that. I could see that as well. But who I would have? Ooh. I'd actually have him right there because he made round of 8 last year. I would say Chris Buescher might be able to get in there just because, as I said, RFK Racing has proven they've got the talent, obviously, with Brad Keselowski himself and then Chris Buescher winning 3 races. I think Buescher might be able to make it to the Final Four, so he's going to be my 4th pick.
Well, he's got to make it to the round of 8, and I think we both had him out in the round of 12. But either which way, I mean,
he's kind of like Chastain. He makes it to the round of 8. I could definitely see him making it to the championship 4.
And like I said, I think Denny's going to make the round of 8. I do not think he'll make championship 4. Neither one of us had Truex making it out of the round of 12. So I think that pretty much covers it. Like I said, both of our championships picks are William Byron. I think he's going to get it together this year. I'm not sure I see 6 wins. I at least see 4. I would, of course, as a William Byron fan, I would love to see William go on a tear like Kyle Larson did in 2021 and Kevin Harvick did in 2020. Mm-hmm. Just with the number of races that they won and see. On the same token, I don't want to see that because that kills the pocketbook, hurts the old wallet quite a bit. But
it hurts mine more than it hurts his because I get them for him. For the most of them, there's still quite a few I've got to order, but that's just because I haven't really had the pocket money to get it yet. But
yeah, I mean, that's just I'm looking forward to the season. I look forward to NASCAR all the time. Let's talk about just to wrap up, let's talk about some non-Cup news, some non-Cup drivers. Talk a little bit about the Xfinity Series for a minute.
That's fine.
Not a whole lot in the Xfinity Series is changing. But the one driver I do want to touch on is she'll be driving the 15 car for AM Racing with Hailie Deegan.
Yep.
Moving up. Her lone Xfinity Series start, she drove the 07 car for SS Greenlight Racing. Did exceptionally well. She's moving up full time. She struggled in the Truck Series. I don't think it was team related. I don't think it was talent related. I think it was just the Truck Series.
Yeah, Truck Series is very competitive.
She had opportunities to run top 10s many times and was just a victim of circumstances quite a few times. How do you think she's going to do in the Xfinity Series? Playoffs?
Being a first year in Xfinity, because
it's also a new team. Last year was their first year, and they ran. Of course, they had Brett Moffitt driving. I think he outran the equipment. We don't know who the second driver is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be Brett Moffitt. It's rumored to be Matt DiBenedetto. If Matt's her teammate, I think she's got excellent.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Of course, same thing with Brett. I'm a huge Brett Moffitt fan. I think he could help her along, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing would be the teammate, just because you get some of the help and wisdom from people that have kind of been really involved with it from the past. So if she has either one of those, Matt or Brett, as a teammate, I think she could make the playoffs. If not, though, I still say she might be able to pull it off, but it would be a struggle, because she has the potential, but like it being a first year in Xfinity. Even though she's got some races under her belt, being a first full-time Xfinity racer, there's quite a difference between that and just a few races in the season. But I think she'll get a good feel and then maybe prove herself to some of the doubters out there.
Yep.
There are a lot of doubters because there was a lot of hype around her. Especially coming because even one of the veterans, Kevin Harvick, said she had more than enough potential to be big.
And Kevin was instrumental in getting her into Ford.
Yes, Kevin was a big part of it, of her career moving up. I think she'll at least prove a lot of these doubters and haters wrong. She'll be able to finally show she's got the talent. So I think she'll have a good year. And like I said, if she might be able to make the playoffs. How far in the playoffs, I couldn't tell you, just because I haven't really watched her race in Xfinity. And again, this being a first full-time year, who knows?
Her only having one race under her belt in the Xfinity series limits her, but I believe the Xfinity Series car drives more like the ARCA car, and the truck drives more like the Cup car. I believe she's going to be. I think she'll make the playoffs. I don't think she'll get out of the first round. I don't think she'll make it on a win. She could surprise me with making on a win. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. Cole Custer won the 2023 championship.
Yep.
After being in the Cup Series and stepping back to the Xfinity Series. John Hunter Nemechek is leaving the Xfinity Series and stepping up. Riley Herbst really kind of made a run for it there at the end of the season. Really showed me something, because you talk about being a doubter.
Yeah, he was one of those. He wasn't really much in.
He barely made the playoff.
Yeah.
And then went out and dominated at his home track in Las Vegas. I mean, when I say dominated, he dominated that race and won that race. And as much of an SHR fan as I've never been a Riley Herbst fan. But I see him being a contender this year. Obviously, Cole Custer is a contender. I kind of look, and Austin Hill didn't make it to the Final Four. Sheldon Creed didn't make it to the Final Four. Sheldon's moving over to SHR, or not SHR. Joe Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of took each other out of the Final Four. Josh Berry is moving up. Justin Allgaier is still going to be there. Austin Hill's still going to be there. Sheldon Creed's going to be there. I really look. Honestly, I'll say that's my Final Four right there. Justin Allgaier, Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, and Cole Custer is my Final Four for the Xfinity Series. And I'll just be honest with you. Write their names on a hat, throw it up in the air, and whichever one you catch in your hand is your champion. I mean, that's just between those four drivers, the teams that they're with. Because Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill both would have been in the championship four had they raced not raced over their heads. Had Sheldon won, of course, some people say Austin wouldn't have made it because he'd have been out by a point. Some people say that he would have made it. I'm not really sure, but either way, they'd had a better chance at making it had they not wrecked each other at Martinsville. But like I said, that's my final four. I personally believe, man, I'd love to see Justin Allgaier win a championship.
Oh yeah, he's.
I just would love to see Justin win, but I still think Cole's going to repeat. I think Cole, this year, he set out to prove that he belonged in the Cup Series. He won the Xfinity Series championship. He's returning. There was an opening in the 10 car. They could have moved Cole into the 10 car. They opted to sign Noah and keep him in the 00 in the Xfinity Series. I think he's going to do the same thing. I think he's going to go out with the mindset of, I've got something to prove. I'm going to prove I belong in a Cup car. And he's going to go out there and prove that he belongs in a Cup car. Which puts Austin Cindric, that we talked about being on the hot seat, in a hotter seat. It puts Harrison Burton, that we talked about being on the hot seat, in a hotter seat because they're both Ford teams. But it also puts the ones that we talked about with Chevrolet, with Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez being on the hot seat. It also puts them in a tough position because who's to say that Chevrolet can't sweep in and steal Cole Custer out of the Ford camp?
That is true.
If Martin Truex decides to retire, who's to say that Toyota don't go after Cole Custer, especially if he goes out and he's running and winning races in the Xfinity Series? I mean, who's to say, that one of the other manufacturers can't go out? And yes, I understand Cole Custer's dad works for Stewart-Haas Racing. But if you've got a top team out there giving you a contract to drive in the Cup Series, do you not take it? Even if your dad's working for the competition.
I mean, yeah. Why not?
I mean, Jeff Burton's been aligned with Toyota for a long time. Harrison Burton's aligned with Toyota for a long time. Ford went out and got Harrison Burton.
Yep.
Josh Berry's been in Chevrolet with Junior Motorsports for decades, in the late model program, and then moving up into the Xfinity program. And Ford goes out and gets Josh Berry.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say somebody doesn't go after Cole Custer?
Exactly.
And if you get an opportunity to drive for Roger Penske in the Cup Series, do you say no?
No.
I mean, I know we talked about Penske being down, but Penske, like he says, won back-to-back championships.
Yep.
And Roger Penske comes to you and says, hey, look, we're taking Austin out. We're taking him back to the Xfinity Series. We want you to drive the 2 car. Do you tell him no?
No, I wouldn't.
I mean, you can't.
I know I wouldn't.
So
that's just...
Truck Series. Man, we lost Kyle Busch Motorsports. We lost GMS.
We lost teams there.
That's going to hurt. We've got Ty Dillon signing with Rackley War. We've got Haley Devian moving out. We've got Ben Rhodes, our current champion, 2-time champion, same team. We got Grant Enfinger driving for a team that really hasn't shown much but has potential. Grant Enfinger was a stupid move away from winning the championship. I'm calling you out, Corey. Corey Heim, Carson Hostfar, both of you idiots, cost Grant Enfinger a championship. The Truck Series, man, that race at Phoenix was a disaster. Most of the Truck Series races are disasters. Man, I'm not even gonna try to pick a championship for the Truck Series because we're not really sure still who's all driving for who. I mean, they announced there's been driver announcements this morning that Lawless Allen's not returning to the 45 team. We just don't know. There's not a lot of information out there about the Truck Series to really even sit down, and we've got teams that went away that were in the championship 4 last year. We've got teams that went away that were in the playoffs last year. So I'm really not even going to call outside of calling Ben Rhodes in the Final Four. Just because Ben Rhodes is Ben Rhodes, I'm not even going to try to make a truck series. Not really make a discussion outside of talking about Ty Dillon, because that's got to be the biggest.
Yeah, it's quite a. Yeah, it's because he was running Cup. Now he's in the trucks.
I think Ty makes the playoffs. Matt DiBenedetto made the playoffs. Matt DiBenedetto won a race with Rackley War. I don't like how they did Matt. With a couple races to go, they just, he announced he wasn't returning to the team. We don't know if that was a Matt decision or a team decision, but we announced, and then they're like, well, you're just not going to drive the truck the rest of the year. I don't like that. I believe if you make a commitment to each other, unless you're flipping over, wrecking equipment every week, I don't think that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know the inner workings of that. I just don't like it. So that's basically all of our discussion, I would say, for NASCAR.
Yep.
For today, this is long enough as it is. I'm sorry, guys. If you made it this far, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, of course. We've been trying to. The whole reason I made the YouTube channel, this was actually kind of one of the reasons, to introduce a lot of NASCAR stuff. Just to add on, there's already a lot to it, but kind of add on some of the fan perspectives. We're both big fans. He's been a fan since you were like what?
I've been a fan since the late 80s. The first race I ever saw flag to flag was the 1993 Daytona 500 with Dale Jarrett winning and Dale Earnhardt finishing second. We got a VCR for Christmas in 1992. Was able to record that race. Was already in love with racing, but that race just pushed me over the top. And I just randomly picked Rusty Wallace. Before that, I was a Davey Allison fan, just because he had the coolest paint scheme in the garage with the red, white, and black Hamlin.
Yeah.
Then they went to the all black scheme. Was Mark Martin fan because at that point in time I was living in Arkansas. Mark Martin's from Arkansas. For some reason I just latched on to Rusty Wallace, even before 93. But I can't explain my Rusty Wallace fandom. But had a lot of drivers over the years.
Oh yeah. I know I kind of started 2015, I think it was. 2014, 2015.
Something like
before
that,
my little brother was born. I was watching the 500 with him. And then it was kind of like, hey, I think it was 2016 when Austin Dillon won. It's kind of like, hey, this actually might be something to worth watching every week. And so I started watching, and then I was already kind of keeping tabs on Chase Elliott with his big upcoming. So I've kind of been an Elliott fan since I started. Really big fan. He can tell you I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I don't think there's very many Elliott things I don't own. I mean, the other day, if you can see it in the background, I bought the Napa Part car plushie from Chase Elliott store, just because why not? It's Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been Elliott fan since day one, just because something told me he was going to be big since I got involved. So yeah. This was kind of a fan's perspective. Obviously we have our own opinions. I think the biggest opinion we can agree on is they need to put the number back on the door panel.
Yes, thank you.
Like, what is the point? I
mean, and I get it because I have a marketing and public relations background. I get it from what they were trying to do marketing-wise. Unfortunately, I believe it's flopped. Most of the fans don't like it. The casual fans don't care. The hardcore fans that have been fans for years, we don't like it. Um, uh, I'm not really sure the teams like it. I think the teams are just on board because it gives them more space. Um, Merchandise sales has fallen since they did it. I can't give you exact numbers on that, but I know that they're lower. There was a lot of diecasts that made the do not produce list since 2022. I know the economy has something to do with that, but there are Chase Elliott cars are making the do not produce list. Kyle Larson cars are making the do not produce list. Kevin Harvick cars in his final year made the do not produce list, and I think it has a lot to do with the look the number and sponsor placements on this next gen car. And Lionel has shown us that the old look works. They've shown it with the 75th anniversary diecast that they just released in the 164 scale. They've shown it with some of the Jeff Gordon fantasy cars that they've made. They've shown it with, some designers have shown it with some of the designs that they've put out, that the old look does look better and looks more uniform. But it is what it is. We'll continue to watch NASCAR's. Moving a number is not going to
keep us away,
keep us from being fans. Now, if they go to all electric, that might.
I don't think that'll happen. I think there would be some big problems if they tried to even think about that.
But anyway, so I know you've got some sponsor shout outs you got to do.
I do.
But before you do that, I do want to give some non-sponsor shout outs to those of you that are fans that may not know. First and foremost, I want to give some podcast shout outs to some top-notch podcasts that I listen to. First off is the Scene Vault podcast, done by two writers of the Winston Cup Scene magazine back in the day, newspaper back in the day. Excellent writers. Man, give them a shout. Give them a listen. The Scene Vault podcast do an excellent job chronicling the history of the sport. Excellent job. Also, the Dale Jr. Download. If you're a NASCAR fan and you don't listen to the Dale Jr. Download, it's because you're not a Dale Jr. fan. But I'm telling you, the work that he does promoting the sport on his podcast, the work that he does chronicling the history of the sport with his guest interviews is absolutely second to none. He gives excellent perspective from a fan standpoint, from a media standpoint, from a driver standpoint. Also, we've mentioned Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. They're changing the format a little bit this year. He's going to have some more guests on there. Give him a listen. If you're not a Denny Hamlin fan, he might turn you into a Denny Hamlin fan. He's working on me. Got a long way to go just because he drives a Toyota, but and then the final podcast shout out that I want to give is to Door Bumper Clear with Brett Griffin, TJ Majors, and Freddie Kraft. Cameron here got the opportunity to meet Freddie at the Snowball Derby. I've had several interactions with Freddie as well as Brett Griffin on Twitter. Give him a listen. It's an opinionated show. There's a lot of opinions that go on. A lot of the opinions I agree with. A lot of them I disagree with. But the fact of the matter is, it's an insider view at the sport of NASCAR. Give them a shout. Give them a listen. Door Bumper Clear. It's Dirty Mo Media podcast. You can find any of these podcasts on any of your podcast ways that you get your podcast. And then the final shout out I want to give is to Circle B Diecasts.
Oh, yeah.
They are not a sponsor yet, but if you're listening, Brett Powell, I want you to be a sponsor of this Circle B Diecast. All of your diecast needs, except for elites. But if you want elites, go to First Class Diecasts. They're affiliated with Circle B. Actually, I think Circle B does their shipping for them. Man, best customer service on the planet. I've said since day one of doing business with them, they could teach classes to major corporations on how to do customer service. Best diecasts in the business come through Circle B Diecast. Lionel produces them, but you will not find a better customer service company than Circle B Diecasts. If there's a problem, which I've had very few,
Yeah. Very, very limited amount.
but the problems that I have had, man, they're on it. Whether it's problems with, I have a tendency sometimes to order 2 or 3 diecast because I forget I've already ordered it on pre-order, and man, it's just an email. Hey, I ordered too many. Take one off.
Yeah.
Payment problems. Boom, they're right on it. I mean, any customer service issues that I've had, I've gotten a diecast before that was broken. Man, you send it back to them. They fix it immediately. They take care of their people. 164 diecast, 124 diecast. They sell IndyCar diecasts. They sell University of Racing diecasts. They sell helmets. They sell apparel. Just excellent business. So if you're looking for a diecast, check out Circle B Diecasts.
And I will leave what I can find, all of the links in the description down below. That way you have easy access to all of them. Circle B is awesome. Door Bumble Clear. It's a podcast I listen to. It's funny. It's really good podcast. Again, so are every other podcast. I haven't really listened to a lot of the podcasts. I will listen to an episode here and there just because I have a busy schedule myself with the channel, with work. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, this is something new we're bringing. We're both gonna try to schedule together when we can do race reviews every week. That's still kind of in the coming. Like I said at the beginning, this is just a recap for the season, because like we've said multiple times, who knows what we'll be thinking midway through. And another thing, he mostly watches the Xfinity and truck races. I really don't, just because of timing. I'm gonna try and do better with that. I'm gonna try and watch those races just so we can actually conversate on that, because if you notice, he pretty much talked on those topics. The Cup races, I never miss those. If I do, I always make sure I get a chance to watch them anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much the season goal. Is a weekly review of the race, and then as we go through, we'll recap on our playoff picks and all sorts of things. And hopefully eventually we can add on some other things with diecast reviews. Another reason why I started the YouTube channel, that's why it's not really specified to gaming. It's just specified to include everything. That way we can add everything into it, because that was the idea when I first created it, was to get him involved with it, with diecast reviews, Transformers reviews even, if we go into those. I'm kind of spieling a lot here, sorry if you're still listening. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff planned out to bring to the channel, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed this little podcast video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload. Like I said, there's a lot coming towards us. Don't forget to check out my actual sponsors. That would be Swift Grips, which they have multiple different colored grips for your game controllers, Switch, Xbox, or PlayStation. Sorry, PC gamers, they don't really cover keyboards. And then don't forget my personal favorite. Sorry, I gotta reach across the camera. Dubby Duralist Energy Blend. I've been drinking this stuff ever since they started sponsoring me. It is super delicious. They have multiple flavors. You can save with code SterlingRider for 10% off on either website. Dubby actually now has an app, which is really cool. I've kind of played around on it. I haven't ordered anything yet because I still have this mostly. But yeah, make sure you check out Dubby. Make sure you check out Swift Grip. Again, 10% off at checkout using code SterlingRider. And like I
And his
said,
mom's drinking this stuff too, so it's got to be good.
my mom is drinking it. I got my mom into drinking it, so it's pretty cool.
And maybe even his grandfather that he mentioned earlier.
Yeah, because he seemed kind of interested in it. And then
We will not give it to your brother, though.
don't give it to him. He already bounces off walls. And then another huge announcement. I know I kind of posted about it. I am now a part of a gaming team. So that's awesome. I'm now part of Mark Clan Gaming. So make sure you go give them a follow. Shout out to them. Thank you guys. Their biggest thing was they partnered with Dubby, and I was like, hey, can I get a spot on the team? And they pretty much were like, yeah. So really awesome to partner with a gaming team now. We can help each other in a part of the team grow and hopefully add even some more sponsorships. Dubby's as a sponsorship is definitely a big thing because they're a small business trying to grow as well. So we're all trying to help each other grow. So lots of exciting things added to the channel, a lot of new things planned out to add on. And so we hope you, yes?
Keep going.
Oh, he's pointing at me for some reason. So we hope you enjoyed. We hope you will come back as we continue this new thing. And if you have any recommendations or something you want to throw in, just comment down below. We will do our best to read them. He'll probably read more than I do because that's what he does, is read. But we'd appreciate the feedback. It's more than welcome. Don't go so hard on negative feedback. It'll hurt my feelings. No, I'm kidding. We'd appreciate
We're so easily offended.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. No. We appreciate any type of feedback. It help us improve, help us bring the experience better to y'all. And yeah, so again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this far as I rambled a lot at the end.
Follow us both on Twitter. Description links in the description below.
Yes.
Both of our Twitters.
Both of our handles will be in the description as well. Again, as I said, all of the non-sponsored shout-outs he did, the sponsor shout-outs, I'll have it all listed out correctly. So yeah, like I said, thank you very much. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. If you're not, hit the bell so that you know when we upload this stuff. There's plenty of gaming stuff on the channel as well. Here shortly, I'll be able to start adding on to that more too. And
I may even jump in on some of that.
He'll jump in. The biggest thing with he jumped in on the Red Dead Online. Sadly, you couldn't really hear him. We had an audio issue that I did not know was a thing until after. So hopefully we can fix that out as well. And yeah, so we appreciate you guys listening. And you got anything else?
That's pretty much it, man. Y'all have a wonderful season. Enjoy NASCAR. And, man, just be a fan.
Yeah, it's
invite new people to watch the races with you.
Man, everyone asks me, what's the point of watching cars go in a circle? And I say, because it's exciting. And they're like, how? And well, it's just like, you got to watch it to see it. And most people will like it because you get them to watch it. And they're like, huh, this is interesting. You know?
It's more than just cars going around in a circle. It's a lot of fun.
There's a lot more to it. That's what I tell everyone. You go to a go-kart track, you normally drive in a circle. Do you have fun? Yeah, of course. But you're driving in a circle. Well, they're doing the same thing on these much bigger tracks. So it's fun to watch. So yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. So again, appreciate it. Give us the feedback, comment below. Check out all of the links in the description with the sponsors and then all the podcasts and such shout-outs. And then Circle B for Diecast. And then I'll also leave our Twitter handles. Well, I guess it's X now, technically.
Yeah.
I'll leave our handles down below as well. And we will see you guys next time. We got, 46 days?
45, I believe, to the Daytona 500.
To the 500. So. And those are after the Clash and the duels at Daytona. So we will be seeing you guys again soon. So take care of yourselves till then, and we will see you next time. So, as always, Peace out. Right on. God bless y'all. Have a good one.